Hello, hello, and welcome to The Rational on Vancouver Co-op Radio. It is Monday, November 19th, 6:01 p.m., and you're listening to, my name is Mika, and we have Anna here in the studio helping out, and we also have in studio our first guests from the Alliance Against Displacement. We have Listen and we have Cecile. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So why don't we start off by talking a little bit about what the Alliance Against Displacement is?
Yeah, the Alliance Against Displacement is a grassroots political organization with anti-capitalist and anti-colonial politics. And what that looks like is that we have a number of campaigns across Southwest BC. So we have organizers that help start and run Discontent City in Nanaimo, which is a tent city there. I organize primarily in Maple Ridge with the Anita Place tent city. Cecile, do you want to tell us where you are?
Yeah, I've been organizing mostly along the Tonancien Metro Town, and how they've been fighting a huge displacement plan that was voted by the city council. So we organize, as Listen said, alongside the 10 cities, alongside renters, alongside other communities like the trans and people and sex workers in Vancouver as well.
And you're working on a number of campaigns at the moment. Mm-hmm. So we have one coming up this weekend, this Saturday, I guess. And it is so it's a rally, Community Not Cops, Divest from Police, Invest in People. That's a loaded title. What does that mean?
So that rally is taking place in Surrey, and Alliance Against Displacement is part of a campaign there called Anti-Policepower Surrey, and this is kind of their first big public event. They've been organizing there for a couple months, did a panel last week, and the slogan, Divest from Police, Invest in People, means pretty much literally that. Divest funding from the police and invested in communities. So Anti-Police Power in Surrey has been responding to this ramp up in the moral panic around gangs and crimes in Surrey. That was especially pronounced with the campaign, or the municipal election. So pretty much every candidate was only talking about increasing police funding, increasing police power. There was some debate over should we have a municipal police force or retain the RCMP, but not a single candidate was questioning whether or not this hegemonic or common sense narrative that absolutely the only thing that will create safety in Surrey is more police, more cops, more guns on the street.
So do more police make us more safe?
No.
Do police make us safe?
No.
Far from that. They've never been created to care of like our communities, and it was interesting because we launched the campaign publicly maybe a month ago, and people were very receptive to the idea. We held a panel last week, and it's as Listen was saying, city council only talks about like increasing funding in police, while people actually just need funding in social program, in community programs, in schools, and other things.
Yeah, so I think the problem with this pro-police moral panic is that it creates the sense that there's a whole bunch of gang violence or youth violence or crime in Surrey, when the reality is that violent crime rates are falling in Surrey. The rate of youth crime is below the national average in Surrey. But you wouldn't know that from the way the media and the politicians just keep hammering on this idea that we need more police, we need more cops. But what more cops actually translates to on the ground is increased criminalization of poor people, of racialized people, especially South Asian youth. So in addition to increasing police funding, what we see in Surrey is this model of policing called layered policing, where they're not only talking about more cops, more cars, more guns, they're also talking about folding cops into school programs, for example. So what you see with this like increasing criminalization and increasing integration of various spheres of society with the police is that all South Asian youth are basically either potential criminals or potential snitches.
Right. So what do you hope to accomplish with the rally on Saturday?
Well, one thing is that I think it will serve as a barometer for the kind of interest. So like Cecile said, since the campaign went public, we've received a lot of comments from citizens in Surrey saying, what is this campaign? I want to get involved, because nobody else is putting forth an analysis that is critical of the police. So I think at this point it would be great to see how many people feel receptive and feel like this kind of messaging captures their experience, and to keep pushing forward and interrupting and disrupting this narrative that all of the kind of social and existential and economic ills that people are suffering in Surrey can be solved with more cops.
Right, yeah. Are police even equipped to deal with the complex issues that people are suffering from, like homelessness and stuff? Like, how come officials or elected people will try and push more police to tackle this problem?
Well, the police's slogan is to protect people and property.
Mm-hmm.
So what that looks like is the interests of business owners against the interests of homeless people who literally have nowhere else to go. So I think the most stark example of this in Surrey is with the Strip. So the Strip was this one block on 135A Street where all the homeless people in Surrey were forced to camp tent to tent along one side of the street. It was controlled by the cops and social workers 24/7. If a homeless person left the Strip and went somewhere else in the city, the cops would go find them and bring them back. So we see there this police-enforced, police-led effort to contain homeless people in one area because they are a threat to business interests, to, the feelings of property owners. And that area of Surrey is also slated to be gentrified and developed into high-end condos. So a few months ago, the police led a total clearance of the Strip, and now there's not a single homeless person on that street. So I think we see there how the police are kind of the forefront of controlling social spaces, controlling who is seen as part of the public or who is a threat to the public, with the public, of course, always centering the interests of business owners, capitalists, homeowners, people who have property and therefore are seen as real human beings.
So what would be the biggest challenge in getting funding to be put more towards social programs and towards supporting people rather than pushing to give more funding to the police and making them stronger?
I think at this point in Surrey, the first battle is to actually get an alternative out there. Because if you go to people who are predominantly immigrants who are really concerned about their children's well-being and future, and you say, do you want an RCMP force or a municipal police force? You're not really presenting
there's not even the option.
Range. Yeah, so I think one is actually suggesting that there's an alternative and kind of painting a picture of what that would look like. And what it would look like is communities deciding for themselves where they want those resources put. So maybe it looks like allowing school gyms to stay open until 9 p.m. so that youth have somewhere to hang out and do activities. Maybe
yeah,
it
and
looks
how
like
expensive is that?
Yeah. Exactly, and if you look at how many millions of dollars the police budget has increased over the past couple years, all the while homelessness is on the rise, no social housing being built, I think this is also part of a kind of global crisis of neoliberalism where you see since the 70s with Thatcher and Reagan that at least in the West, countries all over the West have been divesting of social welfare, education, these kind of public fundings, and increasing police budgets.